everybody. You're listening to and watching the Comic Book Bears podcast. I'm Bill Zanowitz.
I'm Steve Morey.
And I'm Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
And we are your hairy, heavy homos that talk about comic books, but you don't have to be a hairy, heavy homo to listen in, or in this case, stream in. Sorry we're a little late. We were kind of fetching.
It was my fault. It was mine.
It wasn't your fault. We were all doing it, so don't worry about that. In my head, I started putting lyrics to like dun 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 dun. So I think I got to work something. In honor of Stephen Sondheim's passing, I think we should do something lyrically like in the next few days. So here we go.
Come in with like full costume, like I'll wear something from I don't know, Pacific Overture, and then you'll do something from
Yeah, I just put on this is a pumpkin shirt. I don't care if it's like after Halloween, it's comfy. So that was my thing. Yeah.
I'm just gonna like go cut a limb out of a bush and walk in and say, I'm on a tree. I'm in a tree.
I'll just, I'm gonna take it easy and I'll just be an alcoholic and do the ladies at lunch. So you're working too hard here, folks. Okay. Yes, we are gay.
Really?
Yes. So thank you for joining us. We've been away for 2 weeks. We had Thanksgiving break, and unfortunately, Caleb had like a really unfortunate situation because he is finishing up his law school finals, and
I am one down, got 2 more to go. So
yeah, as bad as we have it, as bad as we had, because I'm had this experience too. It's nothing like some of the people at New York Law, because they used to have Christmas break and then have their finals.
Yeah.
Which I couldn't even contemplate that. So
I don't even want to go I wouldn't even want to go through that. Go that far into the year. So here's the thing: when you have nerds who are also in law school and have access to things that like binders and stuff. This is my personal outline that I have bound. I made this. It's my notes for the semester, all typed. That's my study material. This is my Decedent Estates Bible that I made myself.
All I can say is wait till you get to throw that out.
Oh, I cannot wait.
It is the best feeling in the world.
Boom! Are you in city limits? Can you burn things in your backyard? Because that would be a perfect time to burn some leaves, some manuals, some textbooks.
Oh, dude, I'm from Arkansas. Half my family has adopted 12 gauges as their children. I'm going to go find my dad and brothers. They're going to throw up my outlines, and I'm going to shoot them.
Pull!
Oh,
brilliant.
So, we had Black Friday sales. I didn't get much that was Black Friday-ish. And Steve, when you were telling me you didn't get Black Friday stuff, but you got stuff on Black Friday.
Yeah.
So it was that kind of thing. So with 2 weeks away, I was stunned by how much I got, because usually for me, Black Friday is the opportunity to catch up on home video.
Yeah.
And they're the sales just weren't there this year.
No.
Target didn't even have a program. They just readopted their buy 2 get 1 free. So I got a few things. So
sales really weren't there across the board, and we weren't the only ones who didn't go. Like, I was looking at some of the numbers that got turned in, and sales were down in the retail sector. Not that anybody else cares about this stuff.
But it's also weird though. But if you look at it, they're steady for the month.
Yeah.
It's very strange. And I know the biggest retailer, Walmart, started their Black Friday sale on the 4th or something like that. So I don't know.
Stores have been doing it all month. Yeah. And they're still doing it.
When I was out on Black Friday, it was steady. It wasn't. They weren't ghost towns at all. But I was also in by like noon. I can't stand it when they're real crazy.
I just didn't go out.
Yeah. Well, I took Saturday. Oh, well, actually Friday. Sorry, I took Friday to go and drive into Charlotte. And the reason why we didn't go anywhere for Thanksgiving this year, unfortunately, because we had a really sad, horrible, shocking death in our family. My poor sweet boy Yanto, my cat, who just died suddenly on Wednesday morning. right before we were supposed to leave to go up to Indiana. So we were really devastated and sad for those days. We didn't do anything on Thanksgiving, and so Friday I was like, I got the day. I'm just gonna drive to Charlotte. I'll pick up my comics.
Mm-hmm.
Run to the warehouse club and just go home. Just be out of the house because I 2 days of just mourning. And there were plenty of people going to the big mall just north of Charlotte, the Concord Mills Mall, which is enormous. Enough so that there were multiple accidents in the lane going up to the mall. Like you would have to get past a massive 4-car pileup, and then maybe about 20, 30 meters down the line, you'd have another like 2 or 3 car pileup, and you're like, come on, people, the deals aren't that good. What are you doing, killing yourself in this? But yeah, I mean, there really wasn't much that I wanted to go and see personally.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like drove around away from the sale things.
Well, it's kind of scary though, because like I'm looking at the stuff I surrounded myself with, and it's crazy. You want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I said, the home video sales weren't so great, and what I usually do is when particularly Target, Best Buy, and Walmart put a lot of season sets on sale. There was very little. I was able to get Batwoman season 2 and The Flash season 7. So I got those. So they're going into the rack. I did get the 4K of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh, pretty.
So at some point I'll put that in again. And then I did get an upgrade, and this was a very necessary upgrade. I got Blade, the first Blade film, on 4K with Blu-ray and digital code, so it's everything. Now, the main reason I really wanted to get this because it was for aesthetic purposes for the racks, because this is my copy of Blade. It's a snap case.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a snap
that's
case.
That's what we have.
And it's also fraying on the side here, if you can see. So it was like, it's just like, you've served well. It's time for you to retire.
It's time to be replaced. Hey, we did have our friend Chris Cummins over at Sci-Fi Explosion joining us. Hiya, fellas. Hi, Chris.
He just sent me a video from Annie in the 70s. The Annie Live is on tonight, and my friend Liz McCartney is in it.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Oh, awesome.
All right, so in terms of albums, okay, for many people, I don't think the two gentlemen I'm talking to, but for many people, this past weekend meant the Beatles Get Back on Disney+. So that did influence me in getting. This is an album that I've always put off, but I found it at a good price. This is the American tour with Ed Rudy. You barely see any Beatles indications on here, and that's because legal reasons, because this wasn't on Capitol. And this was an interview album that was released in the summer of 1964, and Beatlemania was so prevalent at that point that this hit number 20 on the Billboard album charts. That's how maniacal thing. So I finally have a copy of that. And I also did get, this was a Walmart exclusive, the picture disc of The Mandalorian Season 2. And
wow.
Getting a lot of blur on that. But last year I got Season 1, so why not keep it going? That's it for music. One of my other gets is going to be my Wolf of the Week, so I'll put that to the aside. And then, also on Black Friday, you go into stores you never would go into. So Hot Topic was one of them. So this was something I couldn't pass up, so I did get Papa Emeritus 4 from Ghost, from the band Ghost.
Nice.
So I got the pop of him. Are you on the level? All right. And I had Amazon cancel an order for me on one of the Gotcha Man pops, but somebody came through for me. And so now I have all 3. So now I have Ken the Eagle. And in terms of toys, this one's weird. Spin Master has the DC license shared with McFarlane Toys. McFarlane Toys has the higher end stuff, and Spin Master has the mass market stuff. And they've been putting out in most retail. There's like the 3 3/4, and then there's also like the 12-inch that they have. That's the figures that you can get at Walmart and Target. They are also releasing 6-inch figures, and those are only available at outlets like Five Below and Dollar General. And there's really not a lot of information about them, and it's impossible to order them online. But I was finally able to. They've all been Batman. I finally found the Superman. I've been looking through this since June, so I have.
Wow.
Those you said they have them at Five Below.
Five Below.
I may go.
And they look pretty nice.
Check it out.
Yeah, they're good, and they're nice size, and they're 5 because it's Five Below. And if you go, you should be able to see. They probably have Nightwing, Batman, and Joker that are in that current wave, along with the Superman.
Give me a Wonder
That's
Woman.
pretty cool.
Yeah, nothing. I wish, and then, but in terms of Wonder Woman, I did get the most recent Mego wave, so I got the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman and the Henry Cavill Superman, and I'm just gonna hide those because I don't want people bitching about the likenesses because they're really not on Target. But I'm glad stuff like that exists. And I actually got
made from
this
lots
Mego
of real
wave
Gal Gadot hair.
Before the Mego wave before that, please, Diamond, be nice to DCBS and send the Migos that you solicited, because I have those on pre-order. So, for me, thinking, God, I really didn't get anything for Black Friday. I guess I did. And then I just wanted to point out one of my recent auction wins. I am not a slab comics guy. The only other slab books, I got a Hawk and Dove at New York Comic Con, and I naturally have a copy of the Crime Fighter Inquiry #1 slabbed. I was able to get a copy of The Killing Joke. Sorry about this glare here from the light above. I got this for less than it costs to slab a book. Just put it that way.
Seriously,
that's really nice. That's pretty cool.
Oh wow! How did you
look, I'm the only one without one.
You got to get one now.
Guess so, and it's got to be a different variant with a different color.
Yes,
font.
Mine is a 4th printing. My first printing is yours a first?
Mine is a first printing, a 9.2 signed by Brian Bowen.
My first printing is signed by Brian Bowen. So you really got to get some there, Steve. You suck.
Well, see, I like you. I'm not a big fan of slabbing comics because I do have some comics that would qualify for something that needs to be slabbed, like I guess my Uncanny X-Men 266 and a couple other things. But I'm like, all the trouble to get them slabbed and graded.
Yeah. It only works if it's a situation like Baltimore where you can drop them off and pick them up at the end of the con. That's fine. But
mine was a wedding gift, so that's how.
What a great wedding gift!
Yes,
that's someone who knows you.
Yeah,
it
was my best man. It was my cousin.
Well, there
Ian.
you go.
So yeah,
that's awesome.
Steve, you jump in. I've actually got to go run and get something that I wanted to show you guys, and I left it downstairs. So you jump. I'll be right back because I don't want to miss anything. But I'll be right back.
Awesome. Well, so like Bill, I didn't really do Black Friday shopping. I did go to a couple stores on Black Friday, not with the express purpose of like finding Black Friday deals. And I actually went over to Ollie's, shockingly. I don't go to Ollie's that often. The last time I did with any frequency was when they had the giant tables covered with DC trades. Like they had just knocked over an entire fleet of trucks or something and just stole all the goodies. And I'm kicking myself. I didn't buy all
memories with. I almost feel like that was our like precursor to the con that one year.
Yes.
When we went to Ollie's.
Oh god, we were digging through like the 4-foot stack on top of the table and then the 4-foot stacks under the table. Like you're like, this is madness.
It's crazy,
and I'm kicking
it's so
myself.
much fun.
I should have sprung for more of those showcases, the black and white collections, because they were only $3.99 a piece, which is insane. But I went back to Ollie's to kind of check out what they had, and I was pleasantly surprised. They had moved the graphic novel section to YA fiction for some reason, despite the fact that many of these titles are definitely not YA. But I was able to pick up a couple things, so I grabbed one of the Matt Fraction Hawkeye trades. This one is actually Volume 3, Does not have David Aja, but does have Javier Pulido as one of the artists on there. So I'm looking forward to reading this, because I haven't read much of the Fraction volumes of Hawkeye, and now with the TV series out, I kind of want to read a little bit more.
And also, if I can just interject, Steve, that particular volume has the majority of the Kate Burton solo stories in that.
Oh, really?
Run. Yeah.
Well, good, because it looks really awesome, actually. And the art, of course, is beautiful. I also picked up I had yet another volume of the recent reissuing of the Hellblazer collections. So this one is volume 7. I have volumes 1 through 4 back there somewhere in the bookshelf. For $4, I'm not going to turn this one away. So not bad. I also picked up a copy of Dean Haspiel's and Mark Waid, The Fox, for Fox Hunt. This one was it was literally $2.99. I'm like, I love this. I really wish that, some of these books had sold a lot better, so at full price, so the artists and the writers can get the full amount for the work that they're getting, or whatever residuals that they can. But I love the fact that I can get books like these for next to nothing, and they have a place where they can sell them. I also got a wonderful copy of Sandman Overture, which I have in single issues, but now I have a trade. And they had multiple Fables Deluxe hardcovers. The average price for them was $6. So I got 3. One I loaned to a friend of mine. And then this was the big crowning one, because I thought it was just really cool. But they had several of these, the Bronze Age of DC Comics, which Bill explained was actually part of a larger set, I guess, or a larger volume.
Yeah, it's huge.
That had the different
over there.
Yeah, the different ages. But it's beautiful. Taschen puts it out. This one was, I think it was like $9.99. I think this is the most expensive thing.
It's a very good price for that too.
Yeah.
I think if you look on that, I think the retail was $49.99.
I mean, it's glorious.
It's me growing up.
Quality.
There, yep.
The quality of the art, and just it walks it through, and has, different great captions talking about the different books that came out in that era. So really cool stuff. So
I can't see very well on here, but was that Garcia Lopez art on the cover? Bill, you may know.
No, it's on the cover.
Yeah.
If you can put the cover, if you can put that cover back up, Steve, the Superman cover.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if they have it in
the Muhammad Ali. The Muhammad Ali is Neil Adams. This is actually, and this is a really complicated thing. This is Neil Adams over. The back is Murphy Anderson, and that was actually the cover of Ms. Magazine.
Ms. Magazine #1.
Yep.
Yeah.
But this is actually Neil Adams over Kurt Swan.
Really interesting.
Yeah, which gives it a kind of interesting feel. Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, other than like extra groceries and my own comics that I usually pick up on the week, didn't really have anything else special on Black Friday or that weekend. But
you're special enough. That's all that matters.
Yes.
Yeah. So I got. It wasn't technically Black Friday, but I got one thing at a Black Friday deal also from Ollie's. But before I get to that, everything I want to show y'all is new except for this one thing. Roger's doing a lot of traveling this month for play. Really, he's taking his grandma to Mississippi. They're doing a bunch of stuff. But I'm not a Christmas decoration guy. But this year, because it was going to be gone, we decorated early, so trees are up and everything, which means I get to break out this little fella that my buddy Bill gave me to represent. So I just wanted to show him off. This is what I went downstairs to get. I literally pulled this off the tree. So yeah, I've got him. He's going to be hanging out, but you really can't see. Let me see if I can put him up here. I'll do that later. So as far as recent stuff I got, they were having a sale at one of the local record places. So I went up there, and they don't have a very big metal selection, but I found this guy. Mastodon is one of my my favorite metal bands. Love this album. Now that I have albums, I'm slowly building my library at a very
Do you see that? Do you see that tour that's going on right now? Mastodon and Opeth.
And I see that it's not coming anywhere near me, and I'm angered by it.
Yeah.
Shout out their latest album. Not that these things necessarily mean anything, but their latest album has been on almost in the top 5 of almost every like top 20 metal for 2021 lists. Them and Gojira are killing it. Fucking love it. It's awesome. Makes my heart happy. They had a little bit of a kerfluffle with letting one of their guitarists do an interview where he made some comments that weren't great and kind of LGBTQ phobic, but they apologized. He just said something out of color. It
surprises me because they've never struck me as. They just always struck me as smarter than that.
Yeah, there's a reason they don't let. I think it was Brent Hines. They don't let him do a lot of talking.
Yeah.
What he said was, it's not a thing that you should say, but it was not a slur towards gay people. He said somebody was gay. Like those dudes, they're just gay. They don't like to do anything, And I hate using that as an epithet. Like it's not okay to do for the starters. But it wasn't intended to be what it was. And he came out and said, you know what? I need to work on the way I say things. It wasn't cool. He was talking about Disturbed also, but it wasn't cool. And so the whole band apologized. So I'm, forgiven. Move on.
Yeah.
From Ollie's. I went by there and I was looking for things, but I didn't see my Ollie's doesn't get Omniboo or anything like that. But I did get this giant 2-volume set of the New Yorker Encyclopedia of Cartoons, A to Z archive, forward by David Remnick. I love New Yorker cartoons. I love political cartoons and stuff like that. Cannot wait to just pour through these. I think it's wonderful. I also. From the University of Mississippi Press, I ordered this a while back. It just happened to come in this week, but I'm really excited. Now, they are the same production company that published our friend Dr. Zach Crucy's book about Steve Ditko. So I grabbed from them Sparring with Gil Kane. Really excited to read that. Debating the History and Aesthetics as Comics with Gil Kane, edited by Gary Groth, which most folks I think listen to the show know who Gary Groth is. So cannot wait to read over that. And then two more things. My LCS has a little $5 goody bin that I went by and picked up. Have a nice little water container. I don't know what it's actually used for. One of my friends suggested filling it with booze and taking it to a con. Probably what's going to happen. So if you see this like at Heroes on me, there's a good chance it's just whiskey. And then last but not least, my beloved, adorable, cutesy pie husband is a monster at the little claw games. Like the dude can just win. Like he can spend $10 and come out with 12 toys. I don't know how he does it.
One of my friends is that way. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So he won me. We were walking out of the grocery store and walked by, and I saw that, and I was like, "Oh, it's freaking adorable! I would love that." He's like, "I got $1. Let me get it for you." I'm like, "Okay," and then of course he got it.
Yeah,
so,
sweet.
Little plushy Wonder
That's
Woman.
So cute. Awesome.
Those are my gifts.
So plenty of gifts there.
Nice watermelon.
Gotta get me to Ollie's.
Chris comes again. Gotta get me to Ollie's.
And my trip to Ollie's was a bust, but I will present one of the books that I got.
Not all Ollie's are created equal.
Yeah, my Ollie's
is true.
Within driving distance, and it's not great. Like,
So.
Yeah.
And then there's some Ollie's like the first wave when they started getting the DC and Marvel remainders was amazing.
Yeah.
And they've just never reached that level again. But there was one thing that I should have gotten it as a gift for somebody just to have it. They do have those comic packs.
Yeah.
Where it would be like 10 comics. This comic pack was like almost every recent DC anniversary book. So they had like the Action 1000, and plus in the middle of that was a Birds of Prey, the Azzarello trade.
Yeah.
And I was like, for $7, I should have gotten that as a for somebody. Yeah,
that's easy.
I mean, those anniversary issues themselves, if you didn't buy them in an LCS, or $10 a pop.
Yeah.
So and they're worth it because it's a good.
Probably were variants, so it wouldn't have necessarily been double dipping if I caught it for myself. Yeah. So.
Well, there we go.
All right.
This has been a paid advertisement for Ollie's.
Please.
I wish.
We're going to switch over from our experiences over to some of the recent comic book news. So, Steve, take the mantle there and tell us about some of the recent stories.
So, I mean, we were kind of surprised, or maybe not surprised. There wasn't a lot coming out of San Diego Comic-Con special edition this past weekend. Because normally San Diego Comic-Con would have like a ton of like movie announcements, TV show announcements, some comic news sometimes, not a lot because it's mostly media. We didn't have anything really new come out of San Diego Comic-Con this past weekend. Now, we did have an interview with one of the entertainment heads of Sony, which was interesting because they were talking about, of course, the upcoming Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man, of course, is a property that they share continuity with Marvel and Disney and with the MCU. And she let slip that, this next movie, the Spider-Man No Way Home, is the end of the Tom Holland trilogy. But there will be a new Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy that's coming after this, so they're planning yet another series of 3 movies. I think by that time Tom's going to be in his 40s. May not be... he may actually be able to play, grizzled, early middle-aged Peter Parker by that point. But that's pretty exciting. So we actually do have a continuity of the actor confirmed as well.
I don't know, man. Tom Holland strikes me as somebody who's gonna look the same until he's like 47,
and then all of a sudden turn into
like
Mickey Rooney.
Leonardo DiCaprio. He's just gonna look the same for ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I think Leonardo DiCaprio looks better now than he ever has. I kind of like the fact that he's like chunky and whatever, but he looked the same for about 15 years.
Yeah.
So I'm just gasping at surprise that Steve likes a chunky boy.
I'm a shock.
I'm a shock. We did
so, but that was actually that's pretty cool. I like that, and that still also allows them some possibility there that they're going to bring Tom Holland in with their other Spider-Man properties that they've been developing at this point, because they have started some hinting of that. If anybody stayed through the credits of Venom 2, you might have seen something in the after credits sequences. But this is nice, and there's potential there for some more connective tissue. The other item, and this actually, I'll talk about Oni first. If you wanted to talk about IDW, Bill, but
sure.
One of the big publisher announcements that's comic related is more on the distribution side. Oni Press, there were some rumors before that Oni was going to cut ties with Diamond altogether and just jump right into the lunar basket of distribution. That's only half true. Basically, they are staying with Diamond, but they are no longer exclusively going to be distributed by Diamond. They're now also going to be distributed by Lunar. So they're joining a couple other, they're joining, of course, DC, but then also Scout Comics, and a couple other smaller publishers. But Oni is, just the latest one to jump on and work with Lunar for distribution, which is, a good sign that Lunar is not just going to be like a one and done situation, or a couple of years it's going to fizzle out. That there might be some more longevity here with them, so that we have more of a competitive field here, and especially with Penguin Random House kind of fixing some of their problems, a good chunk of their problems with deliveries. I mean, they're still out there, but they are getting better in their distribution. So between Diamond, now Lunar, and Penguin Random House, we've got.
And I was going to say, I don't know that this translates to necessarily good things for us as consumers, but I think it does translate to good things for small comic book shop owners, for retailers. I think having the ability to shop around and having a viable ability to do that, it is going to help shop owners, especially with the deal that Penguin Random House has, full 50% returnability and stuff like that. Like, that's going to make it's a healthy market for those. I don't think comics are going to go down in price. I don't think we're going to see a reduction in that. I really don't. It's not going to affect our wallets, but it will be good for small shops, and it makes it a viable, marketable model to open up new comic shops too. So that's something when people try to get a loan to do that, they can say, hey, look, here's the distribution system, here's the network of things. So we might see more comic book shops pop up, and that's also a good thing.
Possibly. Yeah, I mean, obviously the downside is now, hey, I've got 3 companies that I need to work with in order to get all of my comics. But I think some of that's just, a lot of it comes down to the service now, because discounts are kind of either being tweaked in a way where they're not as high as they used to be, or they're kind of leveling in certain areas. It really comes down to service. So Lunar has been apparently given some great customer service, and the way that they package and just deliver their books tends to be really good. They tend to be on time a lot more. Diamond now has got some pressure, so they're actually hopefully doing a lot better. And Penguin Random House got raked over the coals for the first basically month of their distribution being so absolutely god awful. That it looks like they're getting a little bit better. We did have another person join, David Toby.
Hey, David.
Gentle Bears. And he also makes mention here, more publishers too.
Yeah.
Small press boom imminent, methinks. So that's an interesting prediction. Having multiple distributors might allow more small press publishers to pop up and get their stuff out there. It's not just Kickstarter or nothing anymore. Maybe. That'd be pretty cool. So, and I think there was another publisher news, IDW.
Yeah. This is something that's rolled out over the last few days, that apparently IDW is losing the Hasbro licenses. The initial report was that the Transformers titles were wrapping up, and then that moved on to My Little Pony and G.I. Joe. So apparently that's a relationship that's going to be ending. I really wonder what that's going to mean for IDW, since they are so dependent on the licensed properties for the majority of their output, since they lost the all ages Star Wars and Marvel titles. What's left, I think, is Star Trek, Turtles, and
Doctor Who.
No, that's with Titan now.
I was going to say that's
they haven't had IDW.
Right. Oh, right.
No. And things that aren't licensed in the way that we think of them, like Usagi Yojimbo. But Dark Source survived losing Star Wars, so
they lost.
It'll just
Alien and Predator.
They lost a lot, but the Black Hammer universe really, I think, has stepped in and helped them out a lot. Plus, I still think they're getting a lot of residuals from Hellboy.
The Mignola books seem to be quite the evergreens, and I also think that they probably will get a decent amount of influx now that Grendel will be on Netflix, and they hold the Grendel they hold the Grendel publishing rights. Let's put it that way. So.
Well, IDW still has Lock and Key too.
Yes, Lock and Key. It's just that I'm also thinking of books that come out regularly, and it's that's not one that I would cite.
Now with Lock and Key, there's a shared thing with that with DC, isn't there? With the Dreaming.
Yeah, we talked about that on the last audio show that was released in 3 episodes ago. Steve and I talked about and just how the wrap up of that crossover was so good.
I'm tying a bow, and it is a beautiful bow. Like it was just so.
It was it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was perfect. Yeah.
If you're going to have two properties that are very different in execution on completely different platforms, different publishers, different writers, everything, and then bring them together in that way, like I couldn't think of any other plot that would do so in such a seamless.
And particularly with Lock and Key, there's a lot of resonance.
Yeah,
this has lasting effect.
Well, and it doesn't. I haven't finished that. I did read the first issue of it. It settles in wonderfully. That world, it meshes so well. So it's very easy to see how somebody was just like,
it's like they're cousins. They're cousins.
Why haven't we done this together?
So, but where's do you know where all those Hasbro licenses where they might end up?
Well, there's a rumor that, and this is rumor, that Hasbro is interested in initiating their own publishing wing, and that they were looking to one of the bigger publishers, not as a licensor, but for them to engage in a distribution agreement with them. That's the word. That they do think with the majority of these properties, especially, and I don't know how long the contract goes with Boom with Power Rangers, but between G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Power Rangers, I mean that's the possibilities of shared universes, and if there's alignment between the visual properties and the toys and the and comic books, and that's huge. You know,
Yeah.
it's a huge universe. That's a huge playground to jump into.
Well, and our friend Arnie is more the Power Rangers guy, but I guess I either missed or just don't remember the fact that Saban sold Power Rangers. That was news to me, and that's really surprising. Really surprising.
Yeah, and you know, it's amazing that Bandai was like completely put out.
Surprising to me, with Bandai, because they're.
It's also, I mean, if you ever look at like how many times that's changed hands, with Disney having it from it, that's whoa.
I don't know if you guys remember there was a show, I think it was Netflix, called The Toys That Made Us. They had a really good show, a really good episode about Power Rangers and Saban and Bandai and all that. It was one of the better ones.
My friend was interviewed for an episode on Hot Wheels that never happened.
Oh, that's too bad.
It was planned for the season that had the wrestling and turtles and stuff.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
So he's still hoping that they'll eventually have another season, because I do think that there's stuff that they haven't explored. That there are lines that they could do. I think the most recent one probably is Monster High. I think at this point that probably has enough of a history behind it that an episode's warrant. But we don't have like, and maybe this is just like the sign of age, but it doesn't seem like the toy lines of today are like ours.
I mean, Monster High. I know that reference, but I mean that might be the last Bratz and Monster High, and.
Toys are more collectible now. They're for an older generation. Other than like you're really, for younger children. But once kids reach 4 or 5, then they're on their video games, and that's not me knocking them. It's just a different generation. They have a new interactive mechanism now that they play with, and the storytelling on video games are so fun that why wouldn't they? But I mean, as far as rumors go, this is a pretty good one. Keep whispering into the hot dog machine.
The Skittles and the Red Vines might say something a little bit different though, so watch out. There's some crosstalk there.
Super Usher still hasn't sent me that Suicide Squad comic, so I don't have to bother him.
Well,
okay, Super Usher. Was that it for news? Was there anything else?
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it. I mean, I kind of wish there was a little bit more coming out of San Diego, but again, it was
I think with the proximity to Emerald, and I think because that is so much more of a Comic-Con, and plus on top of that, anything over Thanksgiving is a news dump.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there are any, and I don't think there's going to be any major announcements, just because of the weird world we live in right now. But if there is anything of some substance, I think they would hold off until Emerald.
Which is that
this weekend?
This weekend,
yeah.
And C2E2 is coming up soon too.
Yeah, that's right. All the weird reschedule crunch. This is just kind of a packed end of the year, which is very interesting. So
I did have one thing on the news front that coalesces into comics and something that we've talked about before on the show, and combines everything together. So as I mentioned earlier, like the new Mastodon album was in the top 5 of several lists and stuff like that. And not that those things are necessarily determinative, but Revolver magazine, which is one of the current bigger metal magazines. I think metalheads know who that is. Whether they like it or not, it's a different story. But they put out their top 25 metal albums of 2021. The DC Comics death metal soundtrack is in the top 20 albums. That's pretty cool. To have a soundtrack for a comic, to have a property for DC, like intermingled and intermixed with like just modern music, that's pretty awesome. So
Princeton Record Exchange, I finally did see one of those issues of death metal with the flexi discs.
Nice.
Nice, but $15.
Pricey. Yeah. So I just wanted to give some
on by.
Like that credit gets credit though.
Yeah.
So it's
awesome.
Worlds blending and stuff. How often do you see a comic book reference in something like that? So
when you referenced Revolver, probably my favorite metal site right now is Blabbermouth,
Yeah.
just because they're quite leftist in their politics,
Yeah.
and it drives some of those people crazy.
Yep.
And the comment section is, oh my god,
I can't read it.
well, I can, because for as many people that are like, SJW bullshit, there's like 4 others that pile on them, and they're really funny.
Nice.
So I do think that is a comment section that you would enjoy.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I can't read the metal section comments because it's just such a haven for white douchebags.
Yeah.
Like,
But I think you'd be surprised where Blabbermouth is right now.
I love Blabbermouth. Like,
Yeah.
like their headlines alone, like as far as just clickbait headlines, are great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think my favorite Blabbermouth headline of all time is Vince Neil still sucks. That's all it said.
Wow. That's like some local city paper stuff.
Yeah.
Right there. That's some headline that you could get away with in like the Daily Mirror or the Creative Loafing or something, but not so much on a major platform.
I'm fucking
That's
crying.
Cool. That's cool.
All right, until we get to too off on tangents, let's bring it back, anchor it back to, this is universal symbol for anchoring, though I don't know why. So back to the funny book world. So
Traveling.
let's talk about some.
That's just 2 tops trying to make a decision. That's what that is.
Just circling.
No one on the audio.
Who's up
episode can have a
first?
clue
It's
what
almost like like boy and sir at the same time. Yeah. All right. Let's get off this. Let's get back to the funny book. Steve, tell us about a comic that you're reading and you're digging.
Well, funny enough, this actually is a sign for a sport that is mentioned in this book. So this is, again, like, sorry for the glare, Kyle Stark's Old Head. This is a graphic novel that Kyle had actually been working on for quite some time. Actually, he had started it about the same time that he had put out Sex Castle, which was basically the book that kind of, for better or worse, put him on the map. And Sex Castle, of course, was the first Kyle Stark's book that I read when I first, stumbled on his booth on his table at Heroes Con years ago. Picked it up from him, and then a couple of years later, he was being published by Image, and was doing the Rick and Morty comics and all sorts of great stuff. And this was a book that he had started back then, kind of put away for a while, and then came back to, and actually redid quite a bit of the art, which is that's just 2 tops trying to make a decision. They came back to the art to redo it. He actually redrew a good chunk of this book and redid some of the plotting. So Old Head, as you can tell from the cover, involves Dracula, but also it is more the story of a former pro basketball player who goes by the name Nash Glivin. And he is. This is also the other cool thing. Kyle actually came up with and made a basketball card with stats.
I didn't get one of those.
With stats, I know. For this character, for Nash Glivin. So basically, Nash is known for being a complete and utter asshole in the court. He's pummeling, anybody who looks at him funny. He can charge like nobody's business. He can really scare off. He is perfect for defense. Problem is, he can't shoot for shit. So people tend not to give him the ball, because even though he's great at dribbling, he just cannot shoot. He can't hit a basket, save his life. Just kind of muddles through a professional career. He's a pro for quite a while, but basically becomes known as Old Head, among his buddies, because he's kind of the old guard. He's just kind of sitting there, mostly warming the bench by the end of his career, just kind of a fixture for the team. But eventually he does retire. His mother, who raised him as a single mother, passes away at the beginning of this book, or right before the beginning of this book, and he and his daughter, because he is divorced, but he does have a teenage daughter, go to her old house to take care of some business. Turns out her old house, kind of sits down the hill from this big castle-looking thing, up in the woods on top of a mountain. It's just a very interesting thing, and of course Nash is, has fond memories of his mother, who was extreme hard ass on him, of just sitting out for hours and hours and hours, staring up at the house on the hill while he practices basketball, he gets solicited by the the main lawyer for the owner of the house to basically sell his mother's old house to him, so that the entire property, the castle, and now his mother's old house could be all just one. Going up there, he finds something a little strange is going on. Doesn't seem like the owner of the house is around, and seems to be talked about in ways that not normal. There's a whole gang of wise Alex who are hanging out there, just being really uncouth and ridiculous. Something weird about them too. Well, turns out they're all monsters. And the owner of the house, actually Dracula. So it turns out his mother was a massive monster hunter back in the day, working for the last of the Van Helsings, she and her husband at the time. We're getting ready to murder and destroy Dracula, just end the evil for good. When some stuff went down, wasn't all that great. It's all cataloged here. But now, of course, Nash, with his mother gone, he's kind of the last line of defense. He and his daughter, who's left alone in the house below, that he's just sold to Dracula and his goons, meaning that she is now pretty vulnerable for being attacked, because don't need to invite anybody in if the vampire already owns the house. So it's a very cool, very great premise. Love the action. The humor is non-stop in this. Kyle Starks, if you're familiar with his stuff, it's just joke. Lots of fun action, because he did draw this book as well. Colors are by Chris Schweitzer, his frequent collaborator, and also really nice, wonderful dude. They're just an adorable, goofy pair together. Love, chatting with them. They're wonderful if you ever get a chance to see them at a con. But Old Head, put out by Image. He did autograph and draw a cute little picture of one of the fiendish characters in this. I totally recommend this. It's a lot of fun. If you pick it up at a con, you can get an Ash Glivin Jr. Basketball card. Otherwise, you can just get the book anywhere, because it is an absolute joy to read.
Cosign.
Old Head. Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's move on to Caleb. Caleb, tell us about something you're reading you're digging.
So, I'll tell you about something I read that I really dug. It's because it's an OGN, so it's not an ongoing kind of thing. But it comes from our friends over at Fantagraphics, and this is a tome of a book, and it's something that I didn't know was coming out. But I'm surprised at that, because the person who wrote and drew it is a absolute legend among comics, and that is Barry Windsor Smith's Monsters. Now, like I said, this is published by Fantagraphics. It's all Barry Windsor Smith. It's a thick, hefty tome of a book. It is all one story, and spoilers, it might be one of the best things that I've read this year. I absolutely adored this book, not only for the visuals in it, but for just the craft, the master craft that he put into the making of this book. So the book starts off with this young man. This is kind of mid to post Vietnam era, and he's walking into a recruiter station, and he's a slob. Like, he's walking in with sunglasses on. He's unshoveled, just unkempt, disheveled. Not the recruiting look to him whatsoever. So he sits down and he starts talking to this sergeant who is hanging out with him, and who's a recruiter. And this sergeant's name is McFarlane, and he's kind of a good guy. He's an African American gentleman in the '60s this is his job. And so they start chit chatting, and he tells Bobby to take off his sunglasses, and Bobby kind of pushes off for a second, doesn't want to. Eventually he coaxes him into doing it, and Bobby's missing an eye, which, like you can imagine, that's not going to work for military recruitment or anything. But when he starts questioning Bobby, he's like, well, what about your parents? I don't have any parents. Everybody's gone. Well, what about who knows you? Nobody. I'm on my own whatsoever. He's like, you know what? I may have something for you. So he pulls out a little Rolodex card, and it's something for a thing called Project Prometheus that his uppers have told him to, hey, once if you find somebody to meet these certain criteria, this is for the good of the country, send them to us. They may not make good soldiers, but they may be perfect for this. It's for, this is your duty. Everything's on the up and up. It's totally okay. Totally cool. So yeah, make sure you funnel that person to us. And he's like, hey, Bobby, you'd work perfect for this. Like, you want to serve your country? Come on, let's do this. Let's go. So he makes a phone call, and as you might imagine, a very seedy person answers the phone, and things kind of go from there. And you realize that this is not actually on the up and up. But Bobby locks in to Project Prometheus. Project Prometheus, you come to find out. I'm going to spoil a little bit, but not much. If you read any basic review, you'll hear these things. Project Prometheus is actually a carryover from the Nazi project of the same name. That the Americans and some of the Nazis who have infiltrated the American military at this time, post World War II, have kept alive. It's the super soldier program, right? Like, this is the thing that's going to build the ultimate. I mean, the Russians were working on this too. The ultimate soldier, very much based out of eugenics and those things. So they want to plug Bobby into that, and they do, and it makes Bobby just flat out a monster. Over the months, he's transformed. He's grotesque. He is a beast of a thing, but he's not a man anymore. And he breaks out. Meanwhile, all of this is happening while Sergeant McFarland starts to have some remorse about this. He starts to feel really heavy about this, and he starts thinking about Bobby's last name and Bailey, and he starts to wonder, well, I knew somebody once named Bailey. I've actually got a connection to this family whose name was Bailey, who this man who actually served in World War II came home, and things weren't, he was having PTSD. They didn't know what to call it then, but there were some issues there, and I worked on. So is there a connection there with, I knew his wife, and he starts connecting some dots that pull things together. And in fact, this is that same family. And everything kind of goes from there to lay out what is one incredible epic of a story, featuring Sergeant McFarland. His entire family is connected to this book, this African-American family living in the 60s. And it goes back from there. His family is actually of a lineage. There's a supernatural angle to him. They have the sight, so they can see, like, there are people who are connected together. His daughter is connected to that as well. It is just a phenomenal book. And I think what I love the most about it is it's not, like I said, it's a mastercraft in making comics. This is not a linear book. It actually starts and then moves backwards in really cool ways. So it takes you to a point to where it connects the dots between two characters, and then it jumps you back in time and moves you forward, jumps you back and moves you forward. Barry Windsor Smith essentially takes and breaks all of the rules of narrative craft in this in the best way possible. It's one of those things that you can only break the rules if you know how to follow the rules. You know how to manipulate it. I was floored. It took me 2 days to read this thing, but it read fast. An absolutely gorgeous, stunning paper. Just every bit about this book works. If you know Barry Windsor Smith, if you've seen his work, then you know what he looks like. He's been off the grid for a long time, and it's because he was making this. But I mean, just look at how page after page after page of this thing is just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, this is one of those books that I want to take and leave tabs in so I can come back and just find pages, because I do that, again, nerd. Like my favorite monsters, my favorite thing is Monsters book. I could just put it on the spokes of a wheel, a bicycle, and it would just flutter. But it really is page after page of just absolutely some of the most gorgeous black and white art. And the great thing is, it's one of those books like Fantagraphics want to put out. Like, it's not just a standard comic. There's a lot of prose in this book. There's that walks you through the history. Like, it's a meaty tome, and you're going to have to spend time reading it. This is a novel. Like, this is not, this is not one of those things that you can dismiss as, like a lot of people want to do when they dismiss comics. This has literary value. Not that all comics don't, but this especially does. So I was absolutely floored by it. There's the letters that a wife writes to her husband in the midst of World War II that go unanswered, that are just like, it just does so much to the texture of the story. I can't recommend this to you enough. Like I said, I don't want to go too far into what happens, because there's a lot in this book. But it is outstanding. This is if we had to lose Barry Windsor Smith for almost a decade to have this, it was a decade well spent, like of him not being in mainstream comics, because this is a masterpiece. Now there was I do want to say I call it the Frank Miller isms. He uses some language in this book that it's what people like that would have said. It's of its time. There's some hard D's in the words. There's a couple of them. You can imagine what they are. I don't know that we needed that, but that's what he chose to do, and that's fit for the characters. Now, I think arguably for me, there's better ways to do that if you want to show just how despicable somebody is. I think now we live in a time where that's not necessary. You can context clue it together without using those, especially if you're a white dude who just lives in the world we live in now. Like some of those words we can just let die. You don't need them to show that somebody's a racist. You don't need them to show that somebody's homophobic. But it was common vernacular at the time. It was a choice that he made. Again, it's one of those things. It is the work. So it's a choice that he made. I respect it for being there. It is part of what it is. I think it's open for criticism because that's the work. So that is the one diminishing factor for me, is that he did choose to use those words in a couple different times that I think is just kind of. He's an older gentleman, and I think he thought he was doing something different. I think from a modern stance, it's just kind of lazy writing to me. But that's the only thing I can say that about, because everything else is just. This man weaves a thread that will blow your mind. So you're going to see this book on a lot of lists coming up from the first of the year as far as Best of 21. So they're already on there. So check it out. Get it. It is worth your time.
Now, with the way Fantagraphics operates, is there any back matter regarding the formation of that project in there? Because I do know it actually started as a Hulk graphic novel in the late 80s.
Yeah, and you can see that. So there's not as far as back matter, it doesn't give you a lot of that. Now there is there's not even a forward to it. It jumps right in. But yeah, I'd heard that as well. I haven't heard that from the horse's mouth, but that makes sense. You can see this. Like I said, the Bobby, once he's transformed, he's turned into this giant lumbering hulking figure. There's one scene in here, again, I wish I had tabbed it, where it's him like fending off a bunch of tanks. 100% a Hulk thing. It's a double page spread, gorgeous, but it lets it be the monster. And it's one of those books, like I said, you can imagine a books with American racists and Nazis and everything else. It's showing you that the monster is not necessarily the hulking disfigured beast in front of you. That's easy pickings, but that's like the low hanging fruit of metaphors that's in this book. He plays with everything else extremely well.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So, what's the price point on that? I'm just wondering.
Do what now?
What's the price point on that? I was just wondering.
So, that is a good question because I don't see it on here. Give me just a second. I'll see what late internet has going for it, because it doesn't say it on the back.
Okay.
So we had a couple of comments here, David Toby. I love stories that involve Project Paperclip, which is essentially just an allusion to Captain America. But it's a meaty tuck as well. Yes, that book actually looks like it could cause some physical damage as well. So, and I'm sure the price point, because being a Fantagraphics book, they're not known for being, low cost. They don't skimp on those. So I'm sure it's well worth it.
The paper quality is outstanding. So you can get a hardcover for $25.96 on Amazon right now.
Oh,
I don't know if that's the MSRP.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, I'm looking at 24 new from $25.96 right now on Amazon.
Okay.
Is there a UPC on the back?
Yeah. We've beaten this. We know what it goes for, Steve. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It says me looking at the clock. Always the producer. Okay. So what I have been involved in was, again, another DC binge. I got through almost all the DC books. There's 2 left that I have to go through: the Wonder Woman 80th anniversary and Are You Afraid of the Dark Side, which was this year's Halloween collection. But I don't want to talk DC. I don't want to. There were books I enjoyed, but with the last time we were together, I did a rapid through some of the number ones. So I'm not talking DC tonight.
I did find the UPC, by the way, but different
Okay,
story.
good. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
sorry.
Okay, so anyway, this is tied to my trip to Ollie's, and my book was much cheaper at $2.99, and it's a 2017 collection. And this was a series that I got the first and second issue. I neglected to pre-order the third issue, and with the way things are working these days, back issues aren't as immediately available as they used to
Mm-hmm.
be. We're talking about far lesser numbers in the print runs. So I just wasn't able. If I wanted to pay full price, yeah, I could find a copy of the three, but I didn't. It was a 3-issue series. But uh, in Ollie's, I did find Betty and Veronica by Adam Hughes. Now I know, Steve, we've talked about how like things are kind of precarious for Valiant, that with the solicitations in this last previews, it was down to two floppies and two trades. And
Yeah.
Archie is kind of in the same situation. The solicitations this month were for one trade and four of the digests, which most of their distribution isn't from comic stores like the stories anyway. Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
there
it
we
looks like
go.
Chris Cummins doesn't even have that one bill, so
Okay, so
that's pretty
if
cool.
I make a return trip to Ollie's, it looks like I gotta find something for him. And this was a book, like I have the 2 issues. They went on the to read pile and never went anywhere beyond. And I was
Yeah.
really surprised at how much I enjoyed this book. The characterizations he provides, not just Betty and Veronica, but Archie and Jughead, and you know some of the other inhabitants of Riverdale, like Midge and Moose and Reggie. They have roles in this too. They sound like contemporary teenagers. They're still in the same kind of ridiculous situations where things are amplified, but there's I don't want to say that it's grounded to reality, but it's grounded to believability and the way that he provides the dialogue. Now there is a problem in that, and I think this is a problem with creators that are mostly known as artists. When they do have the opportunity to write, they kind of lose their shit and they go a bit crazy on the word balloons. So if you can see there, that's kind of dense, almost from hell level dense.
Oh
Brian
no.
Hitch did this. Yeah, Brian Hitch did this in his JLA. I mean, it happens a lot with writers, especially when they, get their first bite at the apple with actually writing and drawing. Um, but it seemed the farther along you went in the series, the easier it was. Very simple storyline here. Very simple storyline. Pops is being bought out. Pops again is the chocolate shop in Riverdale, and that location is going to turn into a Starbucks type of operation. And guess who's the owner? Hiram Lodge, who is Veronica's father. So this pits Betty, who is determined to save Pops and raise $60,000 so that they can counter this offer, and does her best to enlist the entire town against Veronica, who appears to be going with her father's wishes and bring Riverdale into the 21st century and all that. So, like a regular Archie comic, they both of them kind of take it to ridiculous levels of the what they need to do. They think to uh, end up their chosen goal, and it puts on the surface it puts a strain on their relationship, and it's a very strange relationship. They're forever rivals, but they're forever best friends. They're forever besties, and he knows, and he the way he attacked that relationship and that understanding was so novel and so good. This was the best Archie related book that I've read in a long time, and it completely passed me by. It completely passed me by. I'm kicking myself that I've had these issues for a couple of years and never read them, because this really was wonderful. It's very small in terms of page count, 3 issues. They actually have to fill it in with an issue of Jughead because the page count is so skimp. You do get a bunch of material with all the variant covers, which Archie, up until about a year and a half ago, was so uh, well executing in their programs. So if you can find this at your Ollie's for $2.99, I heartily recommend that you get this. This really was a wonderful read. Really was. I was so happy I got this. And that was the kind of thing, like, despite like the from hell word balloons. I mean, it's crazy. It was actually still a quick read, and really enjoyed this. So
funny that they had. I did see that, and they also had I think it's called My Best Friend Reggie, which is
my pal Reggie or something.
My Pal Reggie, which is the story of Reggie, but told from the perspective of his dachshund, his mini dachshund, which I thought was very cute. Also, I believe $2.99. They did have a lot of Archies. Trades.
Yeah, I had gotten the Fox that you had gotten, and the Black Hood and the Hangman trades, and this was in the same section. And I was like, look, I can keep looking for this damn third issue, or for what I'd be paying for that issue, I can get the whole trade. So
yeah,
there you go.
That was my motivation. So,
and and that looks like a nice looking trade too.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
and just his art is just, it can make you straight for a little while. The way he tackles women. So, do not regret getting this at all. And again, if you do make a return trip to Ollie's and see that for the $3 especially, I definitely recommend it.
The Archie line as a whole has been just incredibly fun.
It's strange though, but they're in a kind of holding pattern now. Yeah. It's really strange. They're just not publishing anything right now.
Well, they just put out a new issue of Sabrina out of nowhere. Because that'd been on hiatus forever. And so it's weird what they put out and what they don't put out. But when you do get it, it's enjoyable. It's really fun. It comes from, like I said, the whole frenemy storyline there is interesting.
Yeah, and also the book that you talked about, Steve, the My Pal Reggie, that's written by Tom DeFalco, and apparently there's a couple of Spider-Girl-isms in there worked in. So I don't know Spider-Girl at all, but I do know that there's a couple of Easter eggs within the story that make that fun on another level. Reggie and me, there you go.
Reggie and me says Chris that it is fantastic.
But there was like a My Pal Chris, correct me if I'm wrong though. Yes, they do. That's right, Austin.
Yeah, Asanthalgy did let us know too. His men look pretty handsome as well. Adam Hughes. Yeah, I mean that level of realism is gorgeous in many respects. So.
And the thing is with Adam Hughes, he's one of the few artists that if there's a cover of his, My Pal Archie, there we go. Well, I just created My Friend Reggie. Okay,
My Friend Reggie, My Pal Archie.
With Adam Hughes, he's one of those artists that if there's a variant cover and you want it, get it on pre-order because they go like that. And with the auction that I'm normally part of, the Power Girl, that Power Girl cover that he did for JSA Classified, which like if you try to find it, it's like $35-$40. Those Catwoman covers, all those issues are crazy. Just make sure that you pre-order them and you get them that way because they will be gone. He has a very rabid fan base.
If you want to damn near have a coronary, you should see what he is able to pull down for the price of those covers when he sells the original.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
That man is living well.
He's living well. All right.
Well,
go ahead, Steve.
Speaking of somebody, I'm just gonna mention it real quick. I did want to real quick talk about this next book. It is very similar. Another not on the level of Adam Hughes, but very similar to the beautiful work that he does is Frank Cho. And in his latest series that he did for AWA, Upshot, Fight Girls, I mean, he's definitely on display here with some, beautiful female forms mostly. He's known for doing some very interesting things with his female figures, with the women in, let's say, anatomically impossible poses. But in general, though, he does have a very good command of anatomy when he wants to, and can create some just beautiful scenes and just action with the simple form, which is really great. Again, his portraits, his faces, there's just so much that you can tell, from his characters just by the expressions that they make. Just really beautiful work. But this series, these are the last 3 issues. It's a 5-issue miniseries from AWA called Fight Girls. It's kind of like a Hunger Games type situation in the far future. It's on this planet. The Gilmora or Gilmoran Empire chooses its next queen by putting these beautiful and extremely athletic and accomplished women to this competition, and the winner becomes the queen of the empire. So it starts, of course, in the first book with these 10 women, and they have to do 4 major challenges. Now, each challenge, of course, is horrifically deadly, extremely difficult to do, and just absolutely shocking what happens to these women. That actually, in some cases, are extremely gory and surprising. And you don't really know too much about these women. There's some very, a lot of sports commentary that's going on that kind of gives you some context for where they're coming from, what their motivation is, why are they, competing to become the queen. And then also there's a lot of behind the scenes that's happening. The Prime Minister is working with his, with his team to kind of figure out some more mysterious contestants and find out, if they really are who they say they are and what that really means for this competition. And especially when you have a couple forerunners that immediately make themselves pretty obvious in the first couple issues, you kind of think that there might be something else going on here. It seems all legit, but there might be some other motivations that are coming up. And I do have to say, the finale issue does have a very fun twist that I didn't necessarily see coming. I should have seen coming, but I didn't. That I really enjoyed, and I think it's a fun book. The graphics are absolutely the graphics. The art is absolutely beautiful. The colors by Sabine Rich are gorgeous. I'm just really happy to have read this book, and it should be available in trade, I think. If not this month in December, by next month, I think it'll be out. But it's absolutely gorgeous. I do recommend picking it up now that the series is done, either in single issues or in trade. Fight Girls by Frank Cho.
All right. I do have to look out for the upshot trade of... What's the one about the psychics?
Telepaths.
Yeah.
Telepaths. Yeah, I have to get that one.
Yeah.
Not All Robots is great as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
Appreciated the first issue, but I knew it wasn't anything I was going to enjoy.
Yeah.
So that was...
Oh, it's funny.
That's where I was at with that. I just wasn't in the... Yeah. I'm putting my Mark Russell dollars toward Dead Box and My Bad. So.
Oh, My Bad. Yeah, My Bad. I actually sold somebody on My Bad. Just a random person talking to him at a comic shop. He was like, "Yeah, just picking up some new stuff. Got anything?" And I'm like, "Read My Bad. Read it. Pick it up right now. Buy it. Don't even just look at the cover. You love the cover. Now pick it up and go and buy it and give your money at the
Yeah, I just had one of those things where we're approaching where we're gonna flip over to the next month on DCBS, and I only put in DC and Marvel. I didn't put any indie stuff, and I just realized that tonight. So I was like, just going really quick. I was just hoping, that thing about Oswald's Body, whatever that book is, and the Black Hammer. There were a couple of things I had to get that if I just didn't realize it tonight, I think I would have been out of luck.
Oh, that's
and My Bad was one of those books where I just had to get that. So, yeah. All right, Caleb, over to you. Tell us about something else you're reading that you're enjoying.
So I'm going to jump back over to Image. There's a new #1 that came out from an artist writer that I love. I've loved him for a long time. And Steve, a while ago, you misspoke and you said the graphics look great. Well, that's probably the best way to describe the art that's in this, because it's Jim Mahfood's Girl Scouts #1. Stone Ghost came out. If you're a fan of the food one, then you know what to expect. If you've read his previous Girl Scouts, and you this kind of picks up where that one left off a little bit. So it's very interesting. It's got that very poppy, hip hop inspired, graffiti inspired Jim Mahfood look. It's angular and weird and spray painty and graphicy, and it's not as multimodic as I've seen him do before. There is some stuff where he works in like actual photographs and stuff into this, and then plays around with it, but most of it's just him drawing. So which is it's Jim Mahfood, so it's mind blowing. There's Zipatone all in this, and that just speaks to my soul, makes my little art soul happy. Y'all know I'm a Zipatone hoe. Like, yeah, I'll take as much of it as I can get.
Wait. A Zipatone hoe?
Yeah.
Zipatone hoe.
Can you please say Zipatone out the ass? Please just say it in your
Zipatone out the ass.
Like, good. There we go.
So,
yay!
trademarked. So where this picks up, like I said, I think if you've read this before, Dio, who is a character that I think most people are at least somewhat aware of, she's sitting in a bar and kind of lamenting some of the things that happened with her previous boyfriend, in a very touching two-page spread story. Her previous boyfriend has passed away. His name was Billy. He actually had a brain tumor, and this book walks you through him, finding out about it. He was a very punk rock dude, partying, popping pills, drinking. And this book walks you through him finding that out and then getting the diagnosis in a very, very cool way. Jim Mahfood does it in a very notepad looking type thing. Super fun. So she's there because things are bad. And if you know Girl Scouts, you know the teeth. They're big bad, kind of the devil, and they are after her. They're trying to hunt her down, and there are acolytes and priests of the teeth, and it's just a big kind of nefarious organization in space doing space stuff and just being evil like they are wont to do, with Zipatone out the ass. So she's sitting there, she's talking to her bartender friend, and he's apologizing for everything, and then she looks over there, and he's like, I can't believe with all this going on, you let that guy protect you. And that guy is Turtleneck Joe, who is a hero for hire-esque type bodyguard person. And he's going to get her out, smuggle her away to safety. He's a badass,
what a great name. Oh my God.
He's a space badass. That's what he does. So he's going to smuggle her off the planet. But they quickly realize they need to get out of the bar because some folks roll in looking for them. They make their escape, but they've been sold out by somebody that you wouldn't expect them to get sold out to. And then at the end of the book, it takes a very surprising twist. You should find the book and go check it out. I can't even show you the best piece of art in the book because it's a major spoiler, and I won't do that. So go check out Girl Scouts. Now, there is some homage to the first Girl Scouts. Like they reference the magic sock, if you know what that is. So super cool. It throws back, and it's just the stunning Jim Mahfood art that you get. Like, it's incredible. Again, talking about somebody who's making a good living off of his art. You can't pick this dude's art up for cheap at all. It goes like that. And designing sneakers, designing everything. His art has such a cross-cultural, cross-pollinated cultural reference that he's everywhere. You see Jim Mahfood stuff and don't even realize what it is because it's not comics. But really, really good first issue. Can't wait to see what they do. I think it's a 3 or 4 issue series. I'll be surprised if it goes 6, but me likey a lot.
Okay,
so,
great.
Made me happy.
Nice. Okay, we're coming against the 90-minute mark, so I have one more book I want to talk about, but I'll try to do this as quickly as possible, but I still have a lot I want to say about it, so wish me luck here. And in terms of homage, my book in some ways is an homage to the X-Men and the New Teen Titans of the 80s, but some elements are from some of the more esoteric books from that time, like I guess Doom Patrol and Power Pack. And the book that I'm talking about is from the world of Black Hammer, and that's The Unbelievable Unteens. So what we have in this book is it's 1997, and there is a comic book writer-artist named Jane Ito, and she creates this book called The Unbelievable Unteens. And this documents these adventures of this group of 5 youngsters that were brought together by a mysterious millionaire, and his daughter is one of the team members. And in the back cover, you can see them here. in their glory. You have Jack Sabbath, Kid Occultist. You have Strobe, the Living Light. You have Straka, who's from Czechoslovakia. You have Kid Boom, and you also have Snapdragon. And they go on a number of adventures, and Jane is detailing this in her comic book based on the Unteens. She goes home one night after a comic book convention, and Jack Sabbath appears to her, and she freaks the fuck out. I guess you would too if you think that this creation finally appears to you, and he's a ghost. He's not alive. He is very much dead. He is no longer alive, and he calms her down, and he's telling her, "Look, you're Strobe. You will remember this team. These adventures that you're detailing, these are actually your memories that are suppressed. And one of our members, Snapdragon, is in hell, and we have to go get her. And also, hey, I'm Jack Sabbath, Kid Occultist, and it's my fucking fault. So I'm carrying guilt." The art, again, it's written by the mastermind of all things Black Hammer, Jeff Lemire. The art is by his partner in Harrow County, Tyler Crook, and it bounces back and forth in time and style. You have here with his, with his watercolors or sometimes quasi watercolor drawings here of what's going on in the present day, and then he adopts a very different, more '80s style when you do get to the stories involving the unteen members as they were teenagers. As they go through this adventure, and Jack enlists Strobe, Jane, into this cause. They reconnect with Straka. He's now a married with two sons, construction worker, and they eventually connect with Kid Boom. And it turns out Kid Boom does retain his memories and has been looking after Snapdragon in the hospital all this time. Uh, it's a 4-issue series. I have the first three. The final issue is in my next DCBS box. I really enjoyed that. I do have one more to look forward to since I mainline these 3 issues. Another valuable contribution and addition into the Black Hammer universe. I, I have to say, Black Hammer. There has not been a dud. All of the series have been worth examining. They've all been good. And I'm not one of these people that was at all excited about Substack, but if Lemire is going to be using Substack for exclusive Black Hammer content, I might
Yeah,
go that route.
that's going to be
Honestly,
the one thing that I jump on, because
yeah,
I mean, I've said before, like,
Yeah.
Lemire's my goat. Like, I can't be objective anymore about Lemire. I really can't.
yeah,
Everything that he does, I'm going to find something good to say about
yeah.
it. But Bill,
Yeah.
you said his partner in Harrow County. I think you were trying to say his partner in the Colonel Weird book. Harrow County, Tyler Crook did with Cullen Bunn.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I didn't want to be
Essex
that guy, but
County,
yeah,
be that guy. I need to get this stuff right.
but
Yeah, okay.
Not
Not a huge puddle jump on my defense.
well, no,
There's a
because
county?
Yeah.
they worked together on the Colonel Weird
The
book.
Cosmogogue, yeah.
Yeah, and like I said,
Yeah.
I bought a page from that. I mean, it's stunning
Yeah.
work. I've been a longtime fan of Tyler Crook. I've never seen Tyler Crook do anything that wasn't in watercolor. I don't know if he ever did that early on in his career. I haven't seen it. I was amazed. I thought, like, I had to check and see if, like, did they get Mike Allred to draw a page, because it is like it pulled so much from Mike Allred.
This is what you get when the price on the comic book is 75 cents.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what you get. And it's just wonderful. Oh, it's so wonderful. And then, also it's like, and this is also a little bit different for him too, but it feels like there's like a charcoal thing going on.
Yep.
I think maybe because so much of it is taking place at night in the present day stuff. But
when you see a little bit of
it.
that in his Harrow County work too. I mean, because he really just gets into the vagueness of everything. It's I love it. So, but I mean, and like you said, the whole Black Hammer stuff is just Jeff Lemire's love letter to the medium of comics. Like, that dude is For me, he's the most important creator in comics right now. Just
it almost makes you think of like with Stranger Things, it's a tribute to 80s films.
Yeah.
Which 80s films? All of them.
Yep.
It's almost like this is a tribute to the 80s teen books.
Yep.
Which ones? All of them.
Yep. Yeah. He finds a way to blanket it, and you can see the seeds. That's the cool thing it's widespread, but you can see the seeds of everything. You can pick a point that is your Teen Titans and pull out of it. And the same is true for everything that he does that homages a certain era. He is just
New
so
Mutants.
unbelievably good.
Yeah, New Mutants is definitely, especially
it's everything.
Especially Demon Bear is in there. Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah. So we did have some people who joined us really late. So we've got John Runyon. Hey, John. Comic Book Bears Assembled. Love you guys. Thank you so much, John. We also had somebody join over on YouTube as well to pop in and say hashtag retcon Doomsday Clock from the user Doomsday Clock is bad. I really enjoyed Doomsday Clock, although it took, way too long to come out. There's some really cool stuff there, but I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, so...
I don't know that that's something you want to dedicate a significant portion of your personality to, bro.
I think maybe putting that as your username, that's pretty strong.
Regardless, thank you for tuning in. So we're getting to the 90-minute mark, so we're going to start wrapping this episode up, and when we wrap an episode of the Comic Book Bears up, we do so with a segment we call the Woofs of the Week. In the bear community, if you find a fella attractive, you woof at him, and we do something similar here. We find something attractive in whether it's a comic book or a film or a TV program or a charitable initiative, something that we think that we should signify to you, fair listener or viewer, that you might enjoy. So we'll start it off as I always do with Steve. Steve, what is your Woof of the Week?
So my first Woof of the Week has to go to my brother and my sister-in-law, Izelle, because just at 6:30 Eastern time tonight, I am now an uncle yet again for my new nephew, Everett Peter. So really excited, to welcome him into our family. So... Yay, good job by celebrating.
Yay, I'm related to someone.
Yay! which is really great. Comic book babies. Oh, yeah. I mean, you should see his older sister is going to be getting quite a bit of comic booky goodness for Christmas this year.
Yeah.
But my planned Wolf of the Week this week is for the new Marvel series, Hawkeye. It's on Disney Plus right now. The Marvel, I should say MCU, the new Marvel Cinematic Universe series on Disney Plus, Hawkeye. It's just had its third episode. It released 2 episodes last week, just the day before Thanksgiving, and then it's every Wednesday. It's a new episode, and this one takes a huge amount of its inspiration and plotting from the Matt Fraction, David Aha, and other contributors series from a few years ago, including Lucky the Pizza Dog, factoring in very, very strongly in this, and Clint Barton and Kate Bishop's relationship. Kate Bishop sort of coming into her own, her origin and her development into another Hawkeye character. I think it's really great. The acting's a lot of fun. It's a little bit more subdued than some of the other series. There's some fun action, but we'll talk about it sometime. And some really great cameos and some really cool characters that have been introduced. So Echo is now a character that is part of the MCU, and we know what that could possibly lead to. So pretty excited about that.
They really need to pay David Aha.
Yeah,
really do.
They do. They absolutely do.
It's a crime not to.
Yeah.
I mean,
also,
from a promotional character. Yeah.
And I do apologize. I do think I called her Kate Barton earlier in the show when you threw out your thing.
Clint Bishop.
I am not on top of things tonight. I'm a little tired.
Usually that's my job to mix up words and names and.
But also, I mean, just the tracksuit mafia, the Russian bros come to life. My God,
it's so good.
It's
Alex,
so good.
Anything with Alex Panovich, I just start drooling immediately.
Yeah. No, I just finished the 3rd episode just before we started. So really enjoying it, and it does feel also like that Jeremy Renner's like aged 10 years since we last saw him,
It
which fits for this,
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, but
but
he learned how to act in those 10 years because he's actually doing a really good job. He's doing a fantastic job. So
wow, okay.
Well, we haven't gotten to the karaoke episode yet, but
There is
the
one
one
movie
thing
I have to. I don't mind him as an actor. There is one movie though he's so miscast in, and that's American Hustle. I mean,
yeah.
he's.
Oh.
I don't know what he's doing in that movie. Given that they could have gotten anybody for that part, that's the only one where I'm like, oh, poor boy.
They did. They got anybody.
Oof.
We'll definitely be
I
coming
love
back and
Jeremy-
revisiting the show.
I love Jeremy Renner. So
Yeah.
just light shade, but I think he's fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over to you then, Caleb. What's your woof of the week?
So luckily IMDb, because I was totally going to say Hawkeye because it is that amazing. So double dip on that. But I'm gonna stand in Steve's shoes for a little bit and tell you about a television show that you should also be watching. I don't do this very often, so this is me branching out. And I think I'm not sure if either of you two fellas are watching this or not, but it is The Wheel of Time, which is on I think it's on Hobo Max. It's
Amazon Prime.
Amazon
Prime.
US.
Okay, yeah. It's one of the apps. There's a button on the remote, and the TV does things. I just sit down, and Roger makes the square tell me things. So it is fantastic. Now, I've never read the Wheel of Time series, so I don't know how close it is to the source material. I'm having a blast with this. This is such a phenomenal, fantastic universe. I was a little worried at the front end that it was going to go a little CW-ish. They thread the needle with it. It is both young and fresh, but it's got some really dark moments and deals with some really heavy stuff. I'm loving this, and dude, Rosamund Pike in this is badass. Like, as far as the character goes, like bringing this just really powerful woman magic wielder to life, who is both trying to touch people on a personal level and then dealing with these like just like a age-old prophecy and the weight of the world on her shoulders is really cool. But you've got essentially four characters who are all of the same age, and they are, there's a legend from the time before that these are the reincarnation of somebody called the Dragon, who is the world breaker essentially, and that they're going to come back and wreak havoc. And these women, it's the character that Rosamund Pike plays. They just kind of guard the world, and so it's the adventures of these people and how they get from it's a very high fantasy kind of thing. If you like Lord of the Rings, you'll kind of dig this. So check it out. Super fun.
I like this here, David Toby. I refuse to call it anything other than Wheelie Time.
It is Wheelie
Time. And it's the Aes Sedai that Rosamund Pike's character is part of. My husband is a huge Robert Jordan fan. He actually is in the midst of re-listening to all the books after having read them, I think, multiple times. This is now like I don't know how many times he's gone through the books, but he loves it. It is a little bit different from the source material, so they do change a couple things around. They add a few characters, but according to him, somebody who loves the books, he thinks that the changes are actually well done and a good way of updating the story. Yeah, so
I almost called him the Benny Jesuit. So,
all right, for my woof of the week, I'm gonna be going full circle, and this goes back to Black Friday deals and goes back to the passing of a figure in popular culture that I mentioned, and that's Stephen Sondheim and the Criterion half-price sale. There was no better time this week than to buy original cast album Company on Blu-ray. This is the 1970 documentary that detailed it's all happened in overnight, and then one little bit where they brought Elaine Stritch back in to redo a vocal, which is a central part of the narrative. And in effect, she had
an eye appointment.
It's the cast recording of Company, the show that Stephen Sondheim did the music and lyrics for, with a book by George Firth, which was, I believe, was it the first Hal Prince collaboration? I'm not going to get my theater side is showing here. But it was the first major collaboration that he had with Hal Prince, and it's a stunning documentary. It's very short. It's only an hour long. There again was a revival of interest in this when this was I can't even say lampooned. You have to say played tribute to in Documentary Now's episode Co-op. Among and again, like all the Criterion, they're just loaded with bonus features. So in here we have commentary before these people died of D.A. Pennebaker, the director, and Elaine Stritch and Harold Prince. You have interviews between Sondheim, Jonathan Tunick, who was the orchestrator, and Frank Rich, who was a longtime New York Times critic and eventually became a TV producer. You have another commentary track just with Sondheim alone, recorded in 2019. You have the entire Co-op episode. You have a reunion of the Co-op members on a Zoom call, and that's fascinating, hearing some of the making the sausage, and also some of the feedback from people who were involved in company to Co-op. Really excellent set. And if you're unfamiliar with Stephen Sondheim's work, I don't care if it's Sunday in the Park with George or Follies, or Sweeney Todd. I think I will say it, and I think it's unquestioned. He was the greatest lyricist we've ever had, and just wordplay. Good to see that, Chris. The wordplay. The only person I think that comes close to that is Elvis Costello. It was his first Prince collaboration. Okay, I was just wondering, because Prince, before he started directing, was I was trying to think if he was involved in form, and this was a collaboration that went all the way up to Merrily We Roll Along in 1981, and that's being made into a movie, and a fascinating movie situation where they're basically boyhooding it with Richard Linklater. The story in the musical actually goes back in time. It starts off in the present day, and you see the deterioration of a friendship among three people, and they're filming it over 20 years. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting in 2041. To see that. Something
to look forward to.
But again, the Criterion sales, you might get another one right before Christmas. So be on the lookout for it. If you wait till next year, that's okay too, because half price. The Criterion's pricey, so this is the only way to get this stuff. But really excellent original cast album company on Blu-ray.
And not bought at Ollie's, so that is one thing.
Not bought at Ollie's, yes.
Did not get at Ollie's.
Before we go, Caleb, can you grant me an indulgence? Can we both hold up our Killing Jokes slabs copies?
We can.
Okay.
Let me see if I can angle this right so I won't get a glare.
Okay, and can we provide very big smiles? And Steve, can you look forlorn and upset that you're not holding one? Thank you very much. Okay.
There's going to be a meme somewhere?
No, it will be the image for our episode.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Okay, so we're wrapping this one up. Again, we are the Comic Book Bears podcast. You can find us on the Twitter and the Tumblr and the Instagram as Comic Book Bears. You can find us on the Facebook as Comic Book Bears Podcast. Oh, that's really unsettling. Please stop that. If you want to write to us, you can do so by sending an email to comicbookbears@gmail.com. If you want to listen to us, you can do so by downloading us through Apple Podcasts, listening to us through Stitcher Radio, and many of the other podcasting platforms. If you've joined us on Facebook Live or through YouTube, thank you very much for joining us here. Please like our channel on YouTube, and please leave a positive comment if you enjoyed what you've seen. We want to build up our profile on that particular platform, and we appreciate that. And for everybody who's joined in while we were live tonight, thank you very much. Until next time, I'm Bill Z.
I'm Steve Morey.
Bill ZZ? I'm Caleb.
Let's do that again for the audio version. Until next time, I'm Bill Zanowitz.
I'm Steve Morey.
And I'm Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
You're going to hear a woof and an explosion. We'll be back real soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Jesus.